You wake up. The sound that pulls you from sleep is not birdsong, nor the distant hum of cars. It's a constant, low vibration, deep enough to rattle your bones. A metallic drone, almost like the slow, steady breathing of a sleeping beast. Except this beast is made of steel, and you are trapped inside it. The darkness is not absolute, but it presses in around you. The light is artificial, a tired yellow glow from bulbs that seem weaker than they should be, as if even the electricity has grown weary. The air carries a heavy scent of oil, metal, and something faintly salty. Not the clean, fresh smell of the sea, but of water that has been trapped, filtered, and reused so many times it has lost any sense of purity. You take a deep breath, and you can taste it on your tongue. The ceiling is low enough that if you stand too quickly, you'll hit your head. The walls are curved and cold. Everything around you is narrow. The corridor, your bunk, the small space where you now sit. Every inch of this place was designed not for comfort, but for absolute function. There is no luxury, no spare room. You try to remember the last time you saw natural sunlight, but the memory is hazy. It could have been days ago, or weeks. Here, time is not measured by sunrise or sunset, but by the steady drone of the engine, the distant echo of footsteps on metal, and the clipped orders crackling through the ship's internal communications. A short whistle cuts through the air. You hear muffled voices somewhere ahead, and a faint shudder runs through the floor, as though the entire steel giant is adjusting itself beneath the water. And then you remember where you are, and what that means. You're on a submarine. Not just any submarine. This is no scientific research vessel, nor a tourist craft built to gaze at coral reefs. This is a warship, and the ocean around it is not just water, it is a border, a shield, and a threat. Far above, on the surface, two superpowers are locked in a deadly stalemate. Neither wants to fire first, but both know that if they do, the world as you know it could end in minutes. The ocean here is deep, silent, and cold. It is both a protective cloak and a prison. You can feel the invisible weight of the water pressing down on the hull, a constant reminder that survival depends on every weld, every bolt, and every decision made by those in command. You close your eyes and picture a map of the world. Somewhere out there, other submarines, belonging to the opposing side, prowl the depths, following hidden routes, armed and ready. You can't see the enemy, but you can feel their presence, like a shadow just behind you, even when no one is there. Life here follows a strange rhythm. The walls hum faintly, the machinery thrumming like the heartbeat of the submarine itself. You almost begin to think of it as a living creature, and you, along with everyone aboard, as part of its body, working together to keep it alive. Your personal space is a narrow bunk, a thin mattress, and a pillow long past its prime. Your belongings fit into a small bag or a tiny locker shared with another crew member. Privacy is rare. Voices echo endlessly through the hull, footsteps on metal never truly fading. Today, as every day, you follow the routine, but something in the air feels different. The tension that always lingers here has thickened. The captain moves faster down the corridors. Conversations are shorter, almost whispered. Eyes meet and then dart away. You remember something from training. In a submarine, the greatest weapon isn't always the torpedo. Sometimes it's silence. Every sound, every vibration can be picked up by enemy sensors. That's why sometimes the order is as simple as maintain total silence. And when that happens, silence isn't just the absence of noise. It's a physical thing, like a heavy sheet of ice draped over everyone. In the mess hall, meals are simple and functional. There's no time for flavor, only fuel. But in moments like this, even that is a comfort. Something warm, something faintly reminiscent of life beyond these walls. You chew slowly, listening to the distant hiss of a valve releasing pressure, the occasional creak of the hull, like bones shifting under strain. You remember your first steps inside the submarine. The claustrophobia was almost overwhelming. A tunnel without end. A labyrinth of metal, pipes, and valves. Over time, your eyes adjusted to the dim light. Your body learned to move through the narrow passageways. But the awareness that just beyond these walls lies a crushing, inescapable ocean never fully left you. Life here is a strange balance between monotony and sudden, overwhelming tension. For hours, nothing changes. The sound, the light, the smell, all the same. But at any moment, an alarm can shatter the calm and routine becomes chaos. Today, passing one of the control panels, you notice unusual activity. Two officers speak quietly, their eyes fixed on a radar screen dotted with slow-moving green blips. One points, the other frowns. You can't hear the words, but their expressions are clear. Something is out there. The ocean is not empty. The whistle sounds again, this time longer, sharper. A chill runs down your spine. Orders are coming. Maybe it's just a drill. Maybe it isn't. As you head to your station, every footstep seems louder than it should be, as if the entire submarine is holding its breath with you. And deep inside, a question begins to form, one you don't want to answer, but cannot avoid. How many meters of water and silence truly separate life from death down here? You are aboard a submarine during one of the most dangerous periods in modern history, and though you don't yet know exactly what your role will be, you already understand this. Here, every second, every sound, and every decision can change the fate not just of this crew, but of the world.
The whistle fades and silence returns, but not the calm, familiar silence that sometimes settles over the submarine. This silence is tense, almost electric, as if every molecule of air is charged with expectation. You're at your station, surrounded by dials, levers, and buttons that feel both familiar and eternally threatening. Because here, any one of them can change the course of a mission or a life. The commander's voice cuts through the internal comms, deep and controlled, yet carrying a tone that does not go unnoticed. The words are short. Coordinates, depth, heading. There's no space for explanations, no speeches. In the deep sea, you don't debate orders. You carry them out. But in your mind, you know exactly why you're here. Hundreds of meters below the surface. You're part of a deadly game that didn't begin today. Decades before you ever stepped aboard, the world emerged from a devastating war. A war that burned cities, leveled nations, and killed millions. Its end didn't bring true peace, but a new division. Two blocks rose. On one side, the United States and its allies. On the other, the Soviet Union and its sphere of influence. The Cold War. The name sounds mild, almost harmless. But you know that despite the absence of open battles between superpowers, this is a conflict far more dangerous than many imagine. It's not about seizing territory with tanks and rifles. It's about being ready at all times to destroy the enemy before they destroy you. And in this game, submarines are crucial pieces. The vessel you live and work in is not just a ship that sinks beneath the waves. It's a submerged fortress, a predator no one can see. It carries weapons capable of wiping entire cities off the map in minutes. You know this, and that's why every operation here is wrapped in absolute secrecy. The Cold War turned the ocean into an invisible chessboard. Above, merchant ships and civilian vessels cross the seas as if nothing is happening. But far below, in the dark, hundreds of meters deep, dozens of submarines like yours run hidden routes, always trying to locate and shadow enemy vessels. Some are fast attack subs built to hunt and destroy. Others, like this one, carry ballistic missiles that can be launched from underwater without warning. The true advantage of a submarine is its invisibility. While a surface ship can be tracked by radar and satellites, a silent submarine is like a ghost, able to approach within sight of an enemy's coastline without being noticed. The enemy knows this too. And that's why the tension is constant. You don't see the adversary, but you feel them. It's like hunting in the dark, knowing that you are also the prey. Training taught you that survival depends on staying calm, even when everything seems about to collapse. And more than that, you learned that in the Cold War, many battles are fought without a single shot being fired. Sometimes it's enough to detect an enemy sub before it detects you. Sometimes it's enough to stay hidden until your patrol ends and you return home without ever being found. But there are times when this silent dance turns deadly. A single misjudgment, reading a movement as a threat when it isn't, or underestimating an enemy's approach, can set off a chain of events no one can stop. In the mess hall, you've heard stories. Men spending months without seeing daylight, navigating near the Arctic, dodging icebergs and enemy patrols. Secret operations where Soviet and American submarines shadowed each other for days, each trying to gain the upper hand without firing a torpedo. Stories of crews that came back, and others that never did. On the surface, politicians and diplomats talk about treaties, summits, and meetings. Down here in the belly of the ocean, those words feel far away. What matters is keeping course, listening to every sound and interpreting every faint noise picked up by the sensors. Life or death might depend on knowing whether that distant hum is just a school of fish or an enemy's propellers. The technology on board is the product of the arms race shaping the Cold War. Analog gauges, sonar systems capable of detecting sounds miles away, nautical charts still drawn and checked by hand despite military sophistication. Every part of this submarine is built to endure pressure, silence, and if it comes to it, impact. But the war here isn't made of explosions and shouts. It's made of waiting, of patience, of knowing that even without firing a single weapon, you could be at the center of history. And sometimes you remember that the war might not stay cold forever. You think of the Cuban Missile Crisis, when the world came within a breath of nuclear catastrophe. You think of military maneuvers, deterrence exercises, and incidents that almost turned into real attacks. And you realize that if it happens again, you won't be watching it on television. You'll be in the middle of the storm. The commander passes through the corridor with two officers. They don't look to the sides, but you notice their hurried conversation, fingers pointing to a map spread on a clipboard. It could be just another course change, or not. You can't help thinking about how the ocean is both refuge and battlefield. Down here, there's no horizon, no wind on your face, no sight of the sky. And yet, in this absolute isolation, nations place their trust. trusting it will keep the other side from striking first. It's a strange kind of peace, a peace that exists only because everyone knows war would be unthinkable. And yet, everyone prepares for it. The whistle sounds again, shorter this time. The communication officer receives a message, writes something down, and steps away. You ask nothing. On a submarine, information flows from the top down, and you only hear what you need to know. Still, the tension around you tightens another notch. You take a deep breath. The air feels heavier now. Maybe it's just your imagination. Maybe not. And as the engine hums its deep, steady tone, you understand that down here, every day is a silent chapter in a conflict that could change the fate of the world.
The day, if you can even call it that, begins without sunlight, without windows, and without any reference to the world outside. What wakes you isn't light, but sound. Inside the submarine, noise never truly disappears. The deep hum of the engines, the faint hiss of the air system, the occasional metallic creak that reminds you the hull is alive, shifting against the water's pressure. Your shift starts with a changeover in the control room. The man who's been at your station looks just as tired as you are, but gives a brief nod. An unspoken, "It's your turn now." You sit in front of the control panel. Every dial, lever, and button is familiar. You know exactly what each one does, and touching the wrong one could compromise the entire vessel. To your side, the sonar pulses with its steady, hypnotic rhythm. Ping, ping, ping. Each echo returning with information only a trained ear can decipher. Here, there's no luxury and no room for distraction. Even the chair you're in wasn't built for comfort, but for function. When your shift ends, you move through the narrow corridors, sometimes twisting your body to avoid bumping into crewmates heading the other way. There is always someone working, moving, or silently repeating some necessary task. In the mess hall, the day's meal is simple: rice, a slice of canned meat, dehydrated vegetables revived with hot water. The taste is acceptable. After enough days, your palate simply adapts to the repetition. The coffee is strong and slightly bitter, but it's one of the few comforts everyone treasures. Some add powdered milk, others drink it black, as fuel to endure the hours ahead in confinement. Conversations over meals are short, usually revolving around small complaints or old stories. No one speaks openly about the mission or what might happen, perhaps because, deep down, everyone knows imagining too much can be dangerous. Sleep is another strange chapter in submarine life. Your bunk is narrow enough that you have to turn sideways to fit. A thin curtain gives the illusion of privacy, but it blocks neither light nor sound. The breathing of the man in the bunk above mixes with muffled voices from the corridor. Sometimes you drift off to the distant clank of tools for maintenance work. Life here follows shifts, cycles of work, meals, and rest that ignore the natural day, following instead the logic of military operations. Your body takes time to adjust. You might wake when, up above, it's still night, or lie down when the sun on the surface is blazing. Down here, time is one continuous line with no natural pauses. Between shifts, seemingly harmless routines are essential for survival. Equipment maintenance is constant. You spend hours cleaning air filters, adjusting valves, checking pressure readings. Any failure, no matter how small, could put everyone at risk. The corridors carry a constant smell of oil, metal, and recycled air. Your nose no longer notices, but during the first weeks, it felt as if the scent seeped into your skin. Living with the same crew is unavoidable. The same faces, the same voices, the same gestures. You develop a strange intimacy, recognizing footsteps by sound, knowing how each man stirs his coffee or tilts his cap. But it also means small irritations can grow quickly. A careless comment,
a towel left out of place, a late shift change. Tiny sparks that can feel much bigger in a closed environment. Yet there are moments of lightness. Someone cracks an old joke, another starts a card game, and sometimes a crew member pulls out a small instrument brought from home. In those moments, humanity seeps through the mechanical coldness of the submarine. You remember that before being parts of a war machine, everyone here is just a man trying to get through another day. Communication with the outside world is almost non-existent. No fresh news, no calls to family, no messages sent out. Any information that reaches you is filtered through the chain of command, fragmented, delayed, and often incomplete. When routine drills begin, the atmosphere shifts instantly. Boots pound down the corridors, short commands cut through the air, and urgency takes hold. You put on your gear, take your post, and run through procedures drilled into you countless times. The sonar picks something up, a blip on the radar, a distant contact. Officers exchange instructions. The drill might last minutes or hours, and in the end, the tension dissipates like smoke, but the mental strain lingers. You've learned life aboard swings between two extremes, absolute monotony and peak tension. There's no middle ground. Sometimes, in rare moments of silence, you think about the sea pressing in on the hull, kilometers of darkness, creatures that will never see sunlight, invisible currents moving like rivers. There's something almost mystical about it, and at the same time, crushingly oppressive. During the artificial night, lying in your bunk, you hear the veterans' stories. They talk about patrols in the frozen Arctic, days trapped beneath the ice, encounters far too close with enemy submarines. Some swear they've heard strange sounds on sonar, singing, or rhythmic knocks from the deep. Maybe sailors' myths, or just echoes warped by the ocean. And whenever the conversation drifts too close to the possibility of a real confrontation, silence falls, as if speaking of it might make it happen. You realize that surviving here takes more than training and discipline. You must learn to live with constant uncertainty, knowing that at any moment, an order could change everything. And if it does, there will be no time to think twice. As you walk down the corridor towards your next shift, past reinforced doors and compartments crammed with cables and pipes, you understand life in a submarine is a constant blend of routine and vigilance. And deep down, you know that each passing day is just another silent chapter in a war no one wants to see begin.
The constant drone of the engine is shattered by a piercing alarm. This time, it's not a drill. It's real. The commander's voice comes over the intercom, steady, controlled, but carrying the weight of the words everyone feared. There's a suspicious contact. It's not just a blip on the sonar. It's a moving object, metallic, fast, deliberate. Most likely, an enemy submarine. Tension spreads through the hull like electricity. Every crew member knows the protocol, but knowing doesn't erase the fear. You rush to your station, heart pounding in your chest. Everything you've learned in training is now being tested. Every lever, every button, every command must be executed with absolute precision. One mistake and the submarine could be detected, or worse, attacked. The sonar pulses, tracking the object's movement. It's drawing closer, its course and depth shifting with purpose. The officers exchange quick hand signals, but the silence is almost suffocating. The world above the surface feels impossibly far away. Here, in the heart of the ocean, time bends and slows. Every second feels twice as long. Every decision carries the weight of history. The commander gives the order. Change depth, adjust heading. The submarine groans softly, the steel hull flexing under the crushing pressure of the deep. You feel the burden of responsibility pressing just as hard. Every maneuver has been rehearsed countless times, but the sense that something could go wrong never truly leaves. For what feels like hours,
The contact remains on the sonar. You carry out the silent dance, every move calculated, every sound monitored. The submarine feels alive beneath your feet, breathing, creaking, responding to the hands of the crew. You realize that life here is more than just following orders. It's about instinct, perception, and trust. And then, finally, the sonar shows the contact changing course. Maybe it was just a routine patrol. Maybe they detected you and decided to keep their distance. The relief is silent, but it's heavy. No shots fired, no destruction. But the tension doesn't disappear. It lingers in the air, clinging to everyone on board. The commander addresses the crew. His voice remains firm, though it carries a trace of exhaustion. He acknowledges everyone's skill and composure, but you know what's left unsaid. You could have been discovered. You could have been attacked, and history might have changed in minutes. Still at your post, you take a deep breath. The adrenaline begins to fade, but the aftertaste remains. A strange quiet settles in, as if the submarine itself is reflecting on what just happened. Everyone knows that while routine has returned, something has shifted. Nothing will quite be the same. In the calm after the storm, your mind wanders back to all you've endured to be here. The endless shifts, the cramped quarters, the repetitive meals, the broken sleep cycles. You once thought it was all just routine, but now you see the truth. Every detail was training. Every inconvenience, every rule, every repetition was shaping you for moments like this. And then your thoughts turn outward to the greater story you're part of. The Cold War isn't just politics. It isn't just a theory of power. It's real, tangible, breathing in the silence of the deep ocean. It's here in the quiet fear and the steady discipline that it truly exists. The surface world may seem peaceful, but you know peace is fragile. It rests on the vigilance of men and machines like yours, hidden, ready, watching. As routine slowly resumes, a deeper realization sinks in. Survival here isn't only physical, it's mental. It's the ability to live with constant uncertainty, to keep your composure when danger feels moments away. Every day here is a quiet lesson in endurance, courage, and adaptation. You think of the veterans' stories, patrols beneath the Arctic ice, close calls with enemy vessels, incidents that could have sparked a global war. Now you have your own story. Your experience has become a small, invisible thread woven into the vast fabric of the Cold War. You've become, though anonymously, part of the delicate balance that holds the world's peace. When you finally lie down in your bunk, the submarine cruising on a steady course, you watch the faint glow of the control panels. The familiar sonar ping has become almost comforting. The water pressing in from all sides reminds you of the steel shell protecting you and the crew, safe for now. You close your eyes and realize, if you'd lived only on the surface, you might not have known this strange mix of fear, responsibility, and discipline. You might not have felt the weight of history in every action, or the rare beauty of existing in a place where every decision truly matters. Up above, life goes on. Cities grow. Leaders speak. People live unaware of the fragile balance that keeps them safe. But down here, you've seen the war that no one sees. The kind that isn't won with speeches or open battles. The kind fought in steel, silence, and vigilance. And for a fleeting moment, You wonder if anyone will ever truly understand the price of peace, or if it's something you can only grasp by living it, by feeling it press against you in the dark, cold depths. The submarine continues its mission. The world continues to turn, but you, even for just a moment, have understood something few will ever know. History is often written not with noise and fire, but with silence, patience, and invisible courage. And as you drift into sleep, one thought remains. If you had been born in another time, another place, would you have understood the same value of life? Or is it only through living on the knife's edge that you truly learn?